Heidegger, The Question of Direction, A Thinker's Report, by Esse Delendum. Verbaliskas, Tutherherm Pinanaisix, dedicated with veneration to Alexander Dugin. All understanding tries to say something average if it tries to keep to the canon of clarity, as translation tries to keep average understanding open, but since what is average is only one position, that of the general population or of some sampling of readers according to some notions and tests about what counts as the facts by the standard. One could as well answer that this too is a special case of facticity, or fixing the standard of the understanding of the matter as a whole, and that some will understand it while others won't, or that perhaps nobody will understand it, and then one might have recourse to that not fully understanding something is not to have no understanding with it. Understanding takes two understandings. One corresponds to what Heidegger reaches towards as prior to Plato as shaping a personality or the gods into the ideas or the principles. It is understanding as an active direction, taking which remains in agitated concern. This concern can be taken away when we let another think and struggle, for the understanding was in its troubled condition of the struggle for its direction, as by consulting Heidegger or by asking someone to tell us how to proceed in the investigation, just as if someone is trying to plug in a device in a difficult wall socket with unmovable furniture blocking it. One might have one S concern removed by another, who steps in and by knowing how to contort oneself readily plugs in the device, as one remains as it were hanging in the removal of the concern, as Dostoevsky's man, whose button popped off in front of the head of the office, who, seeing the terrible state, ordered the man's concerns be relieved through the gift of some money. Understanding also, in its second understanding, is the understanding of understanding, which suggests itself as possible without concern. As the mere saying of the words, understanding means understanding, so that taken abstractly, the understanding is shifted into the sense of a duplication, which is supposed to be a comparison of some kind to reveal what understanding says in each case of understanding as a god or person. And in the Euthyphro, Plato shows how the person or theos becomes the idea by excluding the idea. Form the dialogue, the absent signifier grows more powerful. Let's reflect in with what follows on direction by asking, how did Heidegger understand the break with Plato when we go from Kant's notion of Dasein as energia or the actual? But if one wants to give a more correct or different version within the thinking, it's not that the thinking here is invalidated, but only understands in a different direction. We see how Kant activates the idea in his claim that being is a logical predication, which contains the actual real and the possible, and that Heidegger doesn't understand Dasein as actual. Taken formally, this is because he does not treat the actual and the possible as governing his understanding of the direction given of Dasein as the place or person being. Heidegger gives place and person as of the pre-Platonic theoi, co-equal ground, accepting that he absconds with person into the death possibility and towards the claim about the other Dasein. This is already a struggle in understanding where place and person stand as the same under the tag there. And even the man whose concern is taken up by another and stands there in non-concern, being relieved of concern by the one who steps in is there. But instead of broaching a unity, as with the concept of the idea of the good or with nature, He only observes the Dasein as what understands itself as Dasein among Dasein, and as alive in the sense that it could go away or die. G.A. Neuns. Heideggers essay, Platons Lehre von der Wahrheit. Plato's Doctrine of Truth, as it appears in the Standard Edition, first published in 1942, 1947, reprinted in Wegmarken, Pathmarks, PPS 221, 222. Heidegger's key interpretation near the end of his analysis of the allegory of the cave, in dem Platon von der Idee sagt, sie sei die Herrin, die das Unverborgene gewährt, band er in ein Ungesagtes, das fortan das Wesen der Wahrheit nicht mehr aus seiner eigenen Wesensfülle als Wesen der Unverborgenheit sich entfaltet, sondern seine Stätte in das Wesen der Idee verlegt. Das Wesen der Wahrheit gibt den Grundzug der Unverborgenheit preis. Die Wahrheit wird nunmehr zur Orthotis, zur Richtigkeit des Vorstellens und Aussagens. By saying that the idea is the mistress who grants what is unconcealed, Plato implies that from now on, the essence of truth no longer unfolds from its own fullness as the essence of unconcealedness, but rather shifts its place to the essence of the idea. The essence of truth reveals the fundamental feature of unconcealedness. Truth now becomes orthotis, the correctness of representation and statement.